Chapter 4.
Once again, my brilliant mate cuts right to the quick. We've never backed down from a bully before, and we're sure not starting now.
Rascal takes a shaky breath, squaring his shoulders beneath the mantle of leadership. Alright, gang. I won't pretend this ain't gonna be dicey, but we've faced down worse and come through swinging. Just stay close, watch each other's backs, and give 'em hell. A Finn pushing down his fear.
Yeah! Let's teach those goons what it means to mess with our pack.
I'm gonna enjoy mopping the floor with that boss Mutt's hide. Teach him to push decent folks around.
We'll follow your lead, Rascal, to whatever end.
Rascal swallows hard, humbled and fortified by his pack's unwavering loyalty. He turns to face the barn, sunlight burnishing his fur to gold. Then let's do this. For every kicked dog who ever dared to bite back. Time to even the odds. With that, they slip from the grass and slink towards the barn, bellies low and ears flat. Stopping just short of the vehicles, they hunker down to finalize their plan of attack. Unbeknownst to our intrepid heroes, a dark figure detaches from the side of the barn and melts into the gathering dusk, a shadow among shadows. He slips away unnoticed, headed straight for a battered motorcycle hidden in the brush. The engine rumbles to life with a snarling roar, shattering the tense hush. Rascal and the pack freeze, heads whipping around in alarm as the motorcycle bursts from the tree line, headed straight for them at breakneck speed. Scatter and group. Go. The pack explodes like a covey of quail, darting in all directions as the bike bears down on them with murderous intent. The Shida hunches low over the handlebars, face obscured by a dark helmet. But as he rockets by, light glints off something metallic in his hand. A gun, pointed straight at Rascal's heart. Time seems to slow to a crawl. Rascal watches the barrel swing towards him, muzzle flash blooming in the gathering gloom. He hears Lottie scream his name, feels Finn's small body slamming into his side. A searing pain, a splash of crimson across golden fur. A high, agonized yelp that cuts off abruptly. Then, blackness. Silence. Abandoned barn. Night. The pack huddles in a shaft of fading moonlight, clustered around a small, motionless form on the dusty floor. Muzzles and flanks press close, offering comfort and warmth to their fallen comrade. Rascal lies contorted in the center of the mass, eyes glazed with shock and grief. Blood mats the fur of his chest, but it's not his blood. It's Finn's. The pup lies cradled between his father's front paws, breath shallow and laboured. The bullet meant for Rascal found a home in his small body when he leapt into its path. A final desperate act of love and loyalty. Finn. Oh, buddy. Why? Why'd you do it? Finn's eyes flutter open, glazed with pain, but still bright with devotion. Weakly.
Couldn't let him hurt you, Dad. You're too important. The pack needs you.
He coughs wetly, a trickle of blood staining his muzzle. Lottie keens softly, nosing at her baby with trembling breath.
We need you too, darling, so you just stay with us, understand? Keep those beautiful eyes open.
Yeah, kid. You gotta stick around. Who else is gonna keep us old dogs on our toes, eh? One by one, the pack murmurs their love and encouragement, wills their smallest member to fight for his life. Finn's tail gives a feeble whack, a ghost of his usual inexhaustible spirit.
Love you guys. Love you so much. You're the best family a pup could ask for.
He turns his fading gaze back to Rascal, struggling to focus.
Dad, I'm sorry I didn't listen before. Should have stayed back like you said. I just wanted to be brave like you.
Rascal swallows a sob, holding his broken boy closer. You listen to me now, Finley. Oh, you are braver than I ever knew. Brave enough to put yourself in danger to protect the ones you love. I'm so proud of you, son. So proud, and so lucky to be your dad. Finn's breathing grows more shallow, his heartbeat fluttering against Rascal's fur like a trapped bird. Lottie presses closer, tears streaming down her muzzle.
If I had 1,000 tongues, I would sing with everyone. Voices like a mountain song.
We can't lose you.
But even as she speaks, a terrible stillness settles over Finn's small form. His eyes drift shut, a final sigh shuddering through him. And then he is gone, slipping away in the circle of his family's love.
For a long, airless moment, the pack is frozen, unable to comprehend the enormity of their loss. Then, as one, they throw back their heads in a howl of purest grief, pouring their anguish into the uncaring night. Rascal remains bent over Finn's body, eyes squeezed shut as sobs rack his frame. Lottie presses against his side, offering what cold comfort she can in the depths of her own despair. He was just a pup, just a baby. It should have been me. It should have...
No, my love. No. Finn made his choice because he loved you, loved all of us. The greatest honor we can do him now is to keep living that love, keep fighting for what he believed in.
The pack presses closer, lifting tear-stained muzzles in silent agreement for Finn. For the brave little soul who exemplified the very best of their ragtag family.
The pup's a hero. Ain't never been a truer one, and that's a fact.
He was the best of us. Always saw the good in folks, even when they didn't see it in themselves.
A kinder heart never beat. The world's a darker place without his light in it.
One by one, the pack speaks their tributes, remembering the joyful spark that was Finley. Slowly, painfully, Rascal lifts his head, eyes dark and haunted, but lit with a new implacable resolve. Finn gave his life to protect us. To protect me. I'll be darned if I let that sacrifice be in vain. He rises to his feet, Finn's body cradled reverently in his jaws. The pack follows suit, shoulders squaring beneath the weight of their purpose. We do right by our boy. We live every day in a way would make him proud. And we never, ever let the bullies of this world break us down.
Never. Finn's courage lives on in all of us. It's our duty and privilege to carry it forward.
As one, the pack turns towards the door, ready to honor their fallen comrade the only way they know how, with love. Rascal leads the way, Finn nestled safe in his gentle hold. His muzzle is streaked with tears, but his stride is strong and sure, fueled by a father's grief and a leader's grit. I've got you, buddy. I've got you, and I'll never let you down again. That's a promise. The pack follows their Iqfer into the waiting night, broken, battered. The road ahead is dark and full of uncertainty. Hill overlooking dawn. Golden light crests the horizon, painting the distant farmhouse in shades of new beginnings. Beneath a towering oak, a small mound of fresh earth is marked by a cairn of lovingly selected stones. It's Finn's final resting place, a spot chosen for its perfect view of the home and family he cherished more than life itself. Beside the grave, the pack sits in silent vigil, heads bowed and hearts heavy. They've been there all night, standing guard over their fallen brother as he took his place among the earth and stars. Rascal is foremost among them, eyes fixed on the tiny memorial with unblinking intensity. Lottie lies pressed along his length, offering strength and solace in equal measure.
He would have loved it here. Our Finley always did have an eye for beauty.
Remember the first time we brought to the top of this hill? Couldn't have been more than 6 weeks old. But he took one look at that sunrise and just lit up. Like he was seeing the whole world laid out just for him. Lottie huffs a watery chuckle, the memory both sweet and achingly bittersweet.
Our little adventurer, always the first to dive headfirst into life, into love.
Guess he was the first to find his way to the other side of it too. A whine builds in Rascal's chest, cresting into a mournful keen. He buries his muzzle in Lottie's fur, finally allowing himself to crumble in the safety of his mate's presence. Behind them, the rest of the pack huddles in shared sorrow, leaning on one another for support as they grapple with the gaping void left by Finn's absence.
Ain't never getting used to a world without that little scamp's yap ringing in my ears. Keep catching myself turning to make a wisecrack at him. Only...
He trails off, unwilling to voice the bleak truth they're all facing. A world without Finn in it seems a colder, crueler place than they ever could have imagined.
What do you suppose it's like? The place he's gone to? You think he's happy there?
Ain't a doubt in my mind, boyo. A soul like Finley's. There's a special corner of forever set aside just for ones like him. All sunshine and open fields and lazy afternoons. Everything a pup could wish for.
One by one, the pack murmurs their assent, clinging to the fragile comfort of imagining Finn at peace and surrounded by love, even beyond the veil. Slowly, our Rascal lifts his head from Lottie's side. His eyes are raw with grief, but there's a new light kindling in their depths.
I've got the world on top of me, weighing down so.
The first sparks of acceptance. Sarge is right. Wherever our boy is now, he's not alone. He's got all our love right there with him, lifting him up and keeping him safe, just like he did for us, every day of his too short life. He struggles to his feet, stiff muscles protesting the long night of stillness and sorrow. But as he finds his balance, so too does his resolve solidify, tempered by pain but unbroken. We've all lost more than any soul should ever have to bear. Not just now, but in all the dark days that led us to find each other. To make this family, he looks out over the farmyard, the home they fought so hard to claim as their own, the haven that sheltered them and allowed them to love so fiercely, so fully, even in the face of a world that so often showed them only cruelty. But with every loss, we gain a greater understanding of just what we have, what we are to one another. Finn was a living reminder of that, of the love and loyalty that bind us, even beyond death. His courage, his talk, his joy. That's his legacy to us. The pack rises to join him, instinctively pressing close to share strength. Buster, Scout, Sarge, all the other strays and outcasts who found redemption in this ragtag family. And at the center of it all, Lottie and Rascal, the heart and soul of their unlikely pack, now touched by a grief beyond words, but still beating out a rhythm of hope, of healing.
You're right, my darling. Finn. He wouldn't want us to lose ourselves in sorrow. He'd want us to honor him by living every moment to the fullest, by loving each other with everything we have, even when it hurts.
Nuzzling her tenderly, especially when it hurts. That's when we need each other the most. Turning to the pack, eyes bright with unshed tears. That's what Finn taught us. The love of our family. As one, the pack lifts their voices in a low, rumbling keen. An ode of love and remembrance for the littlest wolf who showed them all the true meaning of courage. The sound rises into the brightening sky, mingling with the first golden rays of a new day. A day to put one paw in front of the other, to choose light in the face of darkness, to keep living and loving, even through the pain. For Finn, death cannot sever. Meadow Day. Sunlight streams down on a sea of gently waving grass, painting the wildflowers in vibrant splashes of colour. The air hums with the drone of honeybees and the distant chitter of birdsong. In the centre of the meadow stands a towering oak, its gnarled branches stretching protectively over the small gathering beneath it. The pack, seated in a loose circle, all gazes trained on the shaded earth and the simple stone marker nested at the base of the trunk. Finn's stone, the place where they've come to remember, to mourn, and to celebrate the bright spark of life that touched them all so deeply. Thank you all for coming. I know it wasn't an easy journey for some of you. He rakes his gaze over the assembled dogs, taking in the new silver in their muzzles, the hard-earned wisdom in their eyes. So much time has passed, but the love and loyalty shining back at him is as strong as ever. It means more than I can say to have the whole family here. To honor our fists on what would have been his first birthday. A ripple of soft whines and whispered remembrances passes through the group. Even after all these months, the ache of Finn's loss is a palpable presence. A wound that may have scarred over, but will never fully heal. Lottie presses close to Rascal's side, her muzzle tucked under his chin in a gesture of wordless comfort. He leans into her warmth, drawing strength from her unwavering devotion. I've thought a lot about what I wanted to say today. How to put into words the magnitude of what Finn meant to us, and to me. But I'm starting to realize there aren't any words. Not really. How do you sum up a love so big, so bright, that it eclipsed everything else? Say, a spirit so pure and full of joy that it changed you down to your core, just by knowing him? His voice breaks, but he pushes on, driven by the need to give voice to the emotions welling up inside him. Finn, he was a gift, a miracle. From the moment he came into this world, he lit up every corner of it, chased out the shadows just by being himself. This roly-poly little ball of fluff with a heart 10 times too big for his body. Tearful chuckles ripple through the crowd, each dog lost in their own memories of Finn's irrepressible spirit. His infectious laughter, his boundless capacity for love and mischief in equal measure, smiling through his tears. And that never changed, no matter how big he got, right up till the end. Finn lived every moment to the fullest, loved with his whole heart, even when the world didn't always love him back. He taught me, taught all of us, what it really means to be brave, to stand up for what you believe in, no matter the cost. His gaze finds Lottie's. There's a world of understanding passing between them. The knowledge of just how high a price their son paid for his courage, and the grim certainty that he'd do it again in a heartbeat if it meant protecting his family. We all know the sacrifice Finn made for us. For me. There isn't a day goes by that I don't wish with every fibre of my being that I could trade places with him. That I could go back and do things differently. Keep him safe like a father's supposed to. His head hangs heavy under the weight of grief and guilt. But then Buster steps forward, nudging Rascal's shoulder with his grizzled muscles.
Now you listen here, Rascal. Ain't a one of us here that doesn't feel that way. That doesn't wish we could have done more, been faster or stronger or smarter.
But we can't live in the past. Can't let it eat us up inside. 'Cause that's not what Finn would want. And you know it. A chorus of agreement rumbles through the pack. Sarge, Scout, all the others pressing close in a show of solidarity and shared sorrow. I do know it, in my heart. If not always in my head, Finn. He lived for the moment, for the joy of being surrounded by the ones he loved. And he gave his life to protect that, to protect us. So we honor him by living, by loving, by being the family he always saw in us, even when we couldn't see it in our shawls. Fresh tears glisten in every eye, but there's a new light kindling there too. A flame of resolve, of determination to carry on the legacy of love and laughter that Finn embodied.
He's still with us, every day in every way that really matters, in the way we look out for each other, lift each other up when the world tries to drag us down.
She turns her face to the warm sun, letting it bathe her tear-streaked fur in golden light.
Sometimes I swear I can feel him, hear his little yip on the wind, just around the corner and out of sight, like he's waiting for us, just up ahead, leading the way to a place where there's no more pain, no more goodbyes.
I feel it too, love, and I hold onto it with everything I've got. The hope that somewhere, somehow, we'll all be together again, the way it was always meant to be. The pack murmurs their assent, bound together by the gossamer threads of faith and remembrance, by the conviction that the love they share is beyond death, stronger than anything the world could throw at them. But until that day comes, we keep going. We keep fighting for each other and for every dog out there who's still lost and alone, just like we used to be. His eyes blaze with renewed purpose, the mantle of leadership settling over him like a second skin.
That's the mission Finn left us with, the torch he passed on when he saved my life. Our lives.
We are the voice for the voiceless, the family for the forgotten. We are Finn's legacy, and we'll make him proud. Every single day, the pack lifts their voices in a rallying cry, their howls echoing through the meadow and up into the endless blue sky. It's a sound of purpose reforged in the crucible of loss, a vow to honor the memory of the littlest wolf, by living the values he embodied with every beat of his generous heart. As the howls fade into the balmy afternoon, Rascal takes a deep, centering breath. He knows the road ahead won't be easy. It never is. But with his family by his side. All right, gang. What say we go make some new memories? Find some good trouble to get into in Finn's name. Wagging tails and eager grins meet his suggestion. The heaviness of the day's remembrance starts to lift, replaced by the stirrings of renewed excitement, renewed hope.
Well, now that you mention it, I may have heard a few whispers about a certain junkyard on the edge of town. Seems the human who runs it has a real soft spot for hard-luck cases. Might be the perfect place for a few scrappy mutts to lend a paw, if you catch my drift.
Tail wagging tentatively.
You mean like helping other strays? Ones that don't have a family looking out for them?
Aye, pup. That's exactly what he means. Ain't no better way to honor our Finn's memory than by passing on the love he gave us, helping others find their place in the world, just like we did.
One by one, the pack chimes in with ideas and suggestions, each more eager than the last to find a way to make a difference, to be the change their fallen brother always believed they could be. As the plans and chatter wash over him, Rascal feels a swell of bittersweet pride. This is Finn's true legacy, not just the memories and the love he left behind, but the ripples of kindness he set in motion. The countless lives he'll touch, even beyond the veil, through the family he helped build. Beside him, Lottie leans in close, her presence a balm and a ballast, just as it's always been. Her eyes are misty, but there's a spark of something fierce and beautiful kindling in their depths. The same spark Rascal feels, catching flame in his own heart.
He's here with us, I can feel it, watching over us, cheering us on, our little guardian angel.
And he always will be, my love. Every step of the way, every new beginning, he'll be right there beside us, lighting the way home. Paw in paw, heart to heart. They turn to face the waiting world, the junkyard and all the promise it holds, the chance to make a real difference in the lives of the lost and lonely. It won't take away the pain, won't fill the aching void where a bright young life used to be, but it's a start. A first step down a path their son laid out for them with every ounce of love in his boundless heart. As the pack sets off down the hill, tails held high and hearts full of purpose. A gust of warm wind ruffles their fur, playful, loving. Almost like a parting kiss from an old friend, gone but never forgotten. A reminder that even in the darkest of times, love finds a way to carry on. City Junkyard, Day. The junkyard is a labyrinth of rusting metal and cast-off treasures, the air thick with the mingled scents of oil and wildflowers stubbornly pushing through the cracks in the pavement. It's a place of contradiction, of hidden beauty amidst the detritus of human existence, and to the pack picking their way cautiously through the towering heaps. It's a place that feels strangely, poignantly familiar, a reflection of their own journey from discarded strays to cherished family.
Place smells like a whole lot of broken dreams. But underneath it all,
With a note of surprise,
there's something else. Something hopeful.
You really think we'll find other dogs here? Ones that need our help?
scanning the junkyard with a keen eye.
If Buster's source is right, this place is a regular way station for the unwanted, the abandoned and abused, all just looking for a scrap of kindness.
The thought sits heavy in all their hearts. The knowledge of just how close they each came to being one of those lost souls. If not for the love and courage of a few good dogs, Rascal shakes off the dark memories, focusing instead on the task at hand. On the chance to pay forward the miracle of family to those who need it most. Then we best start looking. Nobody knows better than us. Sometimes all it takes is one friendly face to change a life. Spreading out in a loose fan, the pack begins to explore the junkyard in earnest. Noses to the ground, ears perked for any sign of canine life amidst the debris. It's Scout who picks up the first trail, his sensitive snout quivering with excitement as he catches a whiff of something alive and afraid, hidden deep within the maze of twisted metal.
Guys, over here! I think I found someone!
The others converge on his position, hackles instinctively rising as they prepare for anything. Huddled beneath the rusting hulk of an old truck are a pair of puppies, barely old enough to be away from their mother, all oversized paws and soft downy fur still clinging to rounded bellies. They're pressed as far back into the shadows as their meager shelter will allow, wide eyes glinting with terror in the dim light.
Oh my stars, the poor little darlings, how did they end up here all alone?
She starts forward instinctively, every maternal instinct crying out to gather the trembling waifs into the shelter of her heart. But Rascal stops her with a gentle paw on her flank, his own eyes suspiciously bright as he takes in the tragic scene. Easy, love. We don't want to spook them any worse than they already are. Let me. Slowly, telegraphing every movement. And he crouches down to belly level with the truck, creeping forward until he can just peek beneath the chassis. The puppies scrabble back even further, whimpering plaintively, pitching his voice low and soothing, the way he used to with Finn. Hey there, little ones. It's okay. You're safe now. We're not gonna hurt you. The smaller of the two pups, a little female with a blaze of white down her chest, peeks out from behind her brother's protective bulk. Her ears are slicked back to her skull, but there's a tentative curiosity kindling behind the fear, clouding her amber eyes. That's it, sweetheart. No need to be scared. My name's Rascal, and these here are my friends. We're just here to help, I promise. Slowly, painstakingly, the pups start to unfurl from their frightened huddle. The little female takes a hesitant step forward, nose working for time to assess the strange nyash in front of her. Behind Rascal, the pack holds their collective breath, silently willing the pups to see the earnest goodwill shining from their alpha's kind eyes, to take a chance on the family they so desperately need. Just as the female seems poised to take another step, a booming bark shatters the fragile peace, echoing like a thunderclap through the junkyard. The puppies yelp in terror, diving back into their meager shelter as a towering wall of ragged fur and snarling fangs bursts around the corner of a nearby trash heap. It's a massive mongrel of a dog, all scars and jutting ribs that speak to a lifetime of deprivation and abuse. Lips peel back from yellowing teeth. He pins Rascal with a glare that could melt steel, a feral light dancing in eyes that have clearly seen far too much cruelty.
You lot best step off, real careful like. Them pups is under my protection, and I won't have no city slicks sniffing round where they ain't welcome.
Rascal rises slowly to his feet, never breaking eye contact with the bristling stray. He can feel his pack fanning out behind him, ready to leap to his defense at the first sign of aggression. But he silently wills them to hold back, to let him handle this. Easy there, friend. We don't want any trouble. We're just here to help, same as you. The mongrel snorts derisively, ears flattening even further against his battered skull.
I look like I need help from a bunch of fluffy house pets. I've been looking out for them pups since they was whelped, and I sure as spit ain't about to hand 'em over to the first fancy talkers sniff out of their high-class eggs.
Now. No one's trying to take anyone away. Fact is, my pack and I, we used to be a lot like you. Out on the streets, scraping by on spit and prayers. He glances back at his family, taking strength from the love and support shining in their eyes. The unshakable knowledge of just how far they've come. And how much they have to offer to those still lost in the dark. We've been in your paws, all of us. We know what it's like to feel like the whole world's against you. Like kindness is just a fairy tale suckers fall for before they get their throats ripped out. With quiet conviction. But it doesn't have to be that way. There's folks out there who care. Really care, with no strings attached. Folks who'll love you just for being you, scars and all. The mongrel's stance eases ever so slightly, a flicker of raw longing fighting through the suspicion fogging his gaze. Behind him, Rascal can see the pups peeking out uncertainly, their little faces alight with a tentative hope. That's what we want for you, for all of you. A chance to know what it feels like to be part of a family, to be safe and cherished and never alone again. For a long, breathless moment, the mongrel wavers, the war between hope and mistrust playing out visibly across his gaunt face, his body vibrating like a leaf wire stretched to the breaking point. Holding his breath, Rascal reaches out a paw. An offering. A lifeline to a better world, if only he's brave enough to take it. With a strangled whine, the mongrel crumples. His legs give out beneath him, the fight draining from his exhausted frame like water through a sieve. Hesitantly, disbelievingly. He stretches out his own trembling paw to meet Rascal's. From beneath the truck, 2 small bundles of downy fur come bolting out, flinging themselves against the mongrel's heaving sides with yips of relief. He curls around them instinctively, the 3 broken souls clinging together in a knot of desperate, disbelieving joy. As Rascal and his pack slowly gather round, murmuring soft words of welcome, of unconditional acceptance, the mongrel raises his weary head to meet their alpha's gaze.
I'm Rusty, and these here are Tilly and Tango. They're all I got in the world, all I ever had.
Swallowing hard. You promise? Promise you'll look out for them? Treat them like they deserve? Like the little angels they are? I swear it on the soul of my own son. On the love of my mate and the gent of our pack. Your little family is part of our family now, and we take care of our own. One by one, the other dogs step forward to touch noses with Rusty and his pups, sealing the vow with the most sacred gesture of kinship their kind knows. There will be time later for proper introductions, for sharing stories and soothing old hurts. For now, it's enough to bask in the sheer aching relief of finding their place in the world at last. The knowledge that whatever hardships lie ahead, they'll face them together. As Rascal looks around at his expanding pack, at the shining faces of the strays who are strays no longer, he feels the bittersweet sting of tears warming his eyes. Tears of grief and loss, of a hole in his heart that will never fully heal. But also tears of pride, of humbled wonder at the way love persists, growing and changing shape as it weaves through the warp and weft of the lives it touches. Lifting his face to the sun-drenched sky. Wish you were here to see this, buddy. Wish you could know just how much you taught us. About kindness, about courage. A soft muzzle presses against his neck, a comforting warmth curling into his side. Lottie, his rock, his guiding star. As always, she knows exactly where his thoughts have strayed.
Finn is here, my love. In every life we change, every heart we help to heal. He's right here with us, watching over us with that big, goofy grin of his.
Rascal leans into her, breathing in the mingled sense of his mate and his newfound charges. His family, knit together by the unbreakable threads of compassion and resilience. You're right. As usual. Guess we better listen real good to what our little guardian angel's whispering, huh? Find out where these wayward paws of ours are meant to wander next. Squeezing in close to her mate.
Lead on then, my captain. Wherever the road takes us, we'll walk it side by side.
Surrounded by the warmth of his pack, buoyed by the love of his life. Rascal takes a deep breath of the crisp, clear air. The road ahead is winding and unknowable, as it always is. But he has faith in the strength of the paws that will tread it alongside him. With a rallying bark, a sound of joy, of purpose, of family unshakable, he leads the way out of the junkyard. Out into a world that suddenly seems so much brighter, so much fuller. All because of the love of one small, brave little soul. As they pass beneath the rusting archway, leaving the towering heaps of humanity's leftovers behind, a flicker of movement catches Rascal's eye. He turns, heart seizing in his chest. Just for a moment, and silhouetted against the climbing sun, he swears he sees the outline of a pup. Fuzzy and translucent, fading in and out of the golden light like a mirage. But oh, that lovably lopsided grin. Those bright, curious eyes, holding all the hope and mischief in the world. Finn? The phantom pup seems to bounce on its paws, tail wagging furiously as it meets Rascal's disbelieving gaze. For a breathless instant, the veil between worlds parts, and Rascal feels the unmistakable warmth of his son's presence wrapping around him like a hug. Fine's voice echoing softly, as if from a great distance.
I'm here, Dad. I'm always here, watching over you, just like you watched over me.
Rascal's throat tightens, tears swimming in his vision. He takes a shaky step forward, barely daring to hope. Finn, I'm so sorry. I couldn't...
Shh, none of that now. You have nothing to be sorry for. Nothing at all.
With a smile that could light up the heavens. I didn't give my life for you to live. It bowed under the weight of guilt and grief. I did it so you could live, Dad. Really live, fiercely and freely, the way you taught me. Tears spill down Rascal's muzzle, catching like diamonds in the golden light. Behind him, the pack watches in silent wonder, sensing the presence of something miraculous unfolding just beyond their earthly sight. Finn glancing back at the junkyard with a proud grin.
You're doing it, you know. Living the legacy of love I left behind. Sharing it with every lost and lonely soul that crosses your path.
The pup's eyes dance with mischief, his little chest puffing out with pride.
Rusty and the pups are just the beginning. There's so many more out there who need you, who need the kind of love only our family can give.
And we'll find them, buddy. I swear it on every star in the sky. We won't rest until every last one of them knows what it feels like to be held in the light.
I know you will. I've always known it. But Dad, you have to promise me something.
Anything, Finn. Anything at all.
Don't let the mission consume you. Don't forget to live in between all the rescuing and rallying. Curl up with Mom and watch the sunrise. Swap stories with Buster and Sarge around the campfire. Chase a butterfly or two, just because you can.
Fresh tears cloud Rascal's vision. Even now, even from beyond the veil. His boy is still teaching him. Still showing him the way to a life lived in full color. Chapter 5. I promise, Finn. On every drop of love in my battered old heart.
That's my dad. The bravest, smartest, most big-hearted dog the world's ever known.
The pup's form begins to shimmer, blurring at the edges like mist beneath the rising sun. Rascal lurches forward, instinct crying out to pull his baby tight and never ever let go, but he knows it's not time. Not yet. He still has so much living left to do, so many hearts to touch, so much love to give, before he can join his son in that golden land beyond the sky.
It's okay, Dad. I'm not going anywhere. Not really. Wherever your paws lead you, wherever your road winds, I'll be right there beside you, lighting the way home.
With a last glimmering smile, brighter than all the stars in heaven, Finn fades into the ether, dissolving like spun sugar on the wind. Rascal stares at the empty air where he stood, chest heaving with sobs he can no longer contain. Lottie is there in an instant, wrapping herself around her mate like a second skin. Her own tears mingle with his as they sink to the sun-baked earth, clinging to each other amidst the wreckage of the life that once was. For a long, long moment, the rest of the pack can only watch, hearts aching for their leaders, for the unfathomable depths of loss and love laid bare before them. Then, slowly, one by one, they step forward. Rusty and the pups, huddling close with the instinctive compassion of kindred souls, Buster and Sarge, pressing their grizzled muzzles against their alpha's heaving flanks. Scout, curling in tight against Rascal's other side. A small, stalwart pillar of support. Rascal and Lottie cling to them all, drinking in the warmth of their pack like parched earth soaking in rain. Slowly, gratefully, they let the love of their family fill up the shattered spaces inside them, knitting their broken hearts back together, stitch by tiny stitch. He was here. Our boy. He was really here.
I know, my love. I felt him too, watching over us just like he promised.
She pulls back just far enough to cup Rascal's tear-stained face between gentle paws. Her eyes are red-rimmed but radiant, shining with a bittersweet wonder.
He's given us such a gift, Rascal. A chance to keep his light alive, in every new day we greet, in every heart we open to love.
He's part of the wind now. Part of the sky and the grass and the sunshine. Everywhere we go, everything we do, he'll be right there with us.
Rascal raises his head, drinking in the earnest faces of his family. The burning devotion shining from every eye. The unshakable determination to carry Finn's legacy forward. Slowly, tremulously, a smile breaks across his tear-streaked muzzle. A smile of grief and joy, of aching loss and soaring love. The smile of a father who knows his son is still watching over him. Now and always. Thank you. Thank you for being here. For being everything. I couldn't walk this road without you. any of you.
And you'll never have to, my darling, wherever it takes us, however many twists and turns it holds. We'll walk it as we always have.
She rests her forehead against his, their hearts beating as one.
Together.
As one, the pack rises to their feet. They turn to face the open road, the endless expanse of possibility stretching out before them like a promise. Rusty steps forward. Tilly and Tango press close to his scarred flanks. There's a new light kindling in his eyes, the first fragile spark of hope dawning in a soul too long shrouded in darkness.
I know I ain't been with you long. Know I got no right to put my paw in, especially on a day like this, but...
He glances back at his pups, at the little lives entrusted to his care. When he meets Rascal's gaze again, it's with a burning intensity.
If you'll have us, my family is yours, now and forever, to the ends of the earth and beyond, just like your boy said.
Rascal's heart clenches, fresh tears threatening to spill, but they're tears of humble joy, of gratitude for the miraculous capacity of love to heal even the most shattered of souls. Wordlessly, he reaches out to touch his nose to Rusty's. A silent vow, a sacred covenant sealed in the language of their kind. Behind him, Lottie and the others follow suit, welcoming their new packmates into the fold with solemn tenderness. As they pull apart, tails wagging gently in the golden morning air, Rascal lifts his head to the endless blue sky, the bright expanse of heaven where he knows a certain irrepressible pup is watching over them all. Hear that, buddy? We're heading out. All of us, together. Following the path you set our paws on. He takes a deep breath, letting the wild sense of the world fill up his lungs. The rush of untamed possibility, of a horizon that holds no limits. Keep those butterflies in line up there till we can join you for a chase, and save a place by the campfire for your old dad. I've got a feeling we'll have some stories to swap when I see you again. With a last glimmering smile at the heavens, Rascal squares his shoulders beneath the mantle of leadership, of the love and purpose his son died to give him. All right, gang. Adventure awaits, and it's not polite to keep a lady waiting. He quirks a brow at Lottie, gratified to see an answering spark of mischief kindling in her emerald eyes. For the first time since their world shattered, he feels a flicker of something bright and buoyant igniting in his chest. The thrill of an uncharted road, the promise of new souls to save, new hearts to hold in the light. The simple, bone-deep joy of chasing butterflies with the ones he loves. Dropping into a playful crouch. Last one to the city limits is on scent marking duty. And with that, he takes off like a shot, his pack hard on his heels. Laughters and barks of mock outrage mingling on the morning breeze. At the head of the platoon, running flat out with his family, fanned out behind him, Rascal feels a sudden soaring lightness, a release of the leaden bands that have weighed down his heart since the moment he heard his son's final yelp. He knows the grief will never fully leave him, knows he'll carry the ache of that loss in the marrow of his bones for the rest of his days. But he also knows it's an ache he's privileged to bear, a constant reminder of the love that changed him down to his core, the love that gave him the strength to keep going, even through the darkest of nights. And with that knowledge, with the warmth of his mate at his side, and the bright spirits of his pack at his back, he finally feels free to do just what his wise, wonderful boy asked of him. To live, fiercely, fully, and without apology, chasing joy, hope, and love to the ends of the earth and back again. It's a mission he knows he was born for, a mission he'll gladly dedicate every beat of his battered heart to seeing through. For Finn, for his family, for every lost and lonely soul still searching for the light. With a joyous bark, a sound of grit and grace, resilience and renewal, Rascal puts on an extra burst of speed. The city limits loom ahead, a glittering gateway to a world that suddenly seems so much brighter, so much fuller, all because of the love of one small, brave, unforgettable pup. As he vaults over the invisible boundary, surrounded by the whoops and hollers of his cherished pack, Rascal swears he feels a little nose nudge his flank, a phantom paw fall into step beside him, matching him, stride for stride. Tears and laughter mingle on his tongue, twin tributaries that will carry him forward.
That's my dad, big old marshmallow with a heart of solid gold.
Rascal's own heart skips a beat, wonder and elation cresting through him like a wave. He can almost see it, that familiar silhouette keeping pace at the edges of his vision. Tongue lolling, ears perked, ready to take on the world at his father's side. Takes one to know one, buddy. Takes one to know one. And with his guardian angel trotting faithfully beside him, Rascal runs. Out of the past and into a future glittering with promise. Love will lead him home. Rascal and Lottie, nuzzling noses in front of a glorious sunset. Their grizzled muscles silvered with age, but their eyes still bright with adoration. Buster and Sarge, lounging beneath the old oak tree at the farm, swapping tall tails as a new generation of pups clamber over their graying paws. Scout and Rusty, sitting shoulder to shoulder before a crackling campfire, faces upturned in shared wonder at a dazzling meteor shower streaking across the night sky. Tilly and Tango, now lanky adolescents, romping through fields of wildflowers with a motley assortment of rescue pups, delighted laughter echoing on the balmy breeze. The pack gathered at Finn's stone, piled high with tokens of remembrance, a pine cone, a shimmering butterfly wing, a raggedy toy bone worn down by a lifetime of merry games. And through it all, in each and every frame, the image of a small translucent pup, flicking in and out of sight like a mirage, but unmistakably there, a luminous presence forever woven into the fabric of their story, their guardian angel, their guiding light, the courageous soul who taught them all how to love without limits, hope without fear, and live like every moment is a gift straight from the heavens. His joyful grin holding the promise of more adventures to come. Because love is a story that never truly ends. And for those lucky enough to be touched by the spirit of a little dog named Finn, perhaps there is a story will be written in the stars for all eternity after all. City streets. Day. A harsh sun beats down on the cracked pavement, the air thick with the stench of exhaust and decay. In the shadows of the alleyways, mangy forms slink and skitter, the forgotten cast-offs of a society too busy to care. Among these wretched creatures, a ragged pack picked their way through the refuse, their once sleek coats matted with filth, their eyes dulled by hunger and despair. At the head of the group, Rascal limps heavily, favouring a paw cruelly mangled by a rusting trap. Keep close, everyone. There's safety in numbers.
Darling, you're hurting. We need to find somewhere to rest, let that wound heal.
No time. The patrols will be coming through soon, and we can't be here when they do. We've already lost too many to those damn control trucks. A collective shudder runs through the pack at the mention of the feared vehicles, the harbingers of capture and almost certain death for any stray unlucky enough to cross their path.
It ain't right. Treating us like garbage to be swept off the streets. Never mind, we're living, feeling creatures.
To them, we're nothing but a nuisance, a problem to be dealt with as quickly and cheaply as possible.
As if to punctuate his dark words, a heart-wrenching cry suddenly echoes from a nearby alley. The pack freezes, hackles rising in instinctive alarm.
That sounded like one of ours. We've got to help.
Rascal hesitates, torn between the desire to protect his own and the knowledge that every delay brings the threat of capture closer. But as the piteous wails continue to slide through the fetid air, his resolve hardens. We leave no dog behind. Not ever. Ignoring the stabbing pain in his mangled paw, he leads the charge towards the source of the cries, his pack fanning out behind him in a well-honed formation. As they round the corner into the alley, a scene of nightmarish brutality greets their eyes. A pack of feral dogs, gaunt and crazed with hunger, have surrounded a cowering female, her belly heavy with unborn pups. They snap and snarl, jockeying for the chance to tear into her soft flesh. Snarling with rage. "Hey! Pick on someone your own size, you mangy cowards!" The ferals whirl to face the new threat, lips peeled back from yellowing fangs. For a breathless moment, the two packs stare each other down, the air crackling with tension and the promise of violence. Then, with a blood-curdling howl, the ferals charge. Chaos erupts as the alley explodes into a writhing mass of fur and fangs. Rascal and his pack meet the onslaught head-on, putting themselves between the savagery of the streets and the innocent life they've sworn to protect. Rascal grapples with the largest of the ferals, a scarred brute with madness glinting in his eyes. They roll across the filthy concrete, jaws snapping and claws scrabbling for purchase. Despite his injury, Rascal gives as good as he gets, fueled by a righteous fury and the knowledge that his family is counting on him. With a final Herculean effort, he manages to clamp his teeth around the feral's throat, bearing down until the beast goes limp in surrender. Around him, the tide of the battle turns as his pack proves their mettle. Buster and Sarge fight as a seamless unit, watching each other's backs with the ease of long practice. The pups dart between the legs of the enemy, nipping and harrying and providing the distraction needed for Rusty to land devastating blows. Even Scout, small but fierce, proves his courage, launching himself at a feral, threatening to overwhelm Lottie and leaving the brute yelping and bleeding. Panting and bleeding, the pack closes ranks around the cowering female. Lottie is the first to approach, her gentle heart aching for the abject misery and fear rolling off the expecting mother in waves.
It's all right now, sweetie, you're safe. Those monsters won't be coming back anytime soon.
Slowly, tentatively, the female raises her head. Her soft brown eyes are haunted, telling a story of cruelty and hardship no living creature should ever have to know. "What's your name, miss? Is there somewhere we can take you? Someone who might be missing you?" The female shakes her head, fresh tremors racking her thin frame.
No one's missing me. Not anymore.
Dropping her gaze to her swollen belly. And soon, there will be even more unwanted lives brought into this world of suffering. More tiny hearts to be broken by the cruelty of the streets.
Now you listen here, little miss. Ain't no such thing as an unwanted life. Not in this pack.
He's right. You and your pups. You're under our protection now. We'll get you somewhere safe. Somewhere you can deliver those little ones in peace.
The female looks between them, hardly daring to hope. But as she takes in the earnest faces of her rescuers, the love and determination shining from eyes that have seen the very worst the world has to offer, something eases in her haunted gaze, a tiny spark of light kindling in the depths of despair.
I'm Luna, and I don't know how I can ever repay you for this kindness.
You just did, Luna. Knowing we made a difference, no matter how small. That's what keeps us going. Keeps us fighting for a better world. Even when it feels like the darkness is closing in from all sides. He steps forward to touch his nose to Luna's, sealing the bond of fellowship and promising sanctuary. Around them, the pack nuzzles in close, offering warmth, comfort, and the unshakable knowledge that she is no longer alone. Thank you. Thank you all. From the bottom of my battered old heart.
Think nothing of it, dearie. It's like Rascal always says, we're all in this together. One big, messy, wonderful family.
For a moment, the alley is filled with the quiet sounds of connection, of a community forged in the fires of adversity, but tempered by an unbreakable thread of love. Then Rascal straightens, the mantle of leadership falling over his shoulders like a shroud. Come on then, Luna. Let's get us somewhere safe before... He's cut off by a sound that turns his blood to ice in his veins. The rumbling growl of an engine, drawing closer by the second. The hated harbinger of suffering and loss. Animal control. Closing in for the kill. Run! We have to run now. He doesn't wait for a response, simply bullies his battered body into a limping lope, his pack falling into formation behind him without hesitation. But Luna falls behind. Her heavy belly and the trauma of her ordeal have sapped her strength, leaving her stumbling and staggering as she tries to keep pace. Rascal skids to a halt, torn between the need to lead his pack to safety and the visceral knowledge that he cannot leave this mother-to-be to face the pound alone.
Rascal, we can't stop. They're almost on us.
I'm scared, Rascal. I don't want to go back in the dark cage. Please don't make me go back.
I know. But we can't. He looks back at Luna, at the raw terror in her eyes as she struggles to drag herself forward. In that moment, he sees another set of eyes, wide and trusting, blinking up at him from a tiny fuzzy face. Eyes he failed once before, and vowed to never fail again. Buster, take the pack and head for the river. Remember the old drainage pipe we used to shelter in? You should be safe there until...
Until nothing, Rascal. We're not leaving you. We're not leaving either of you.
Sarge, you and Buster carry Luna. The rest of you, we're going to run interference. Buy them time to get clear of this death trap. You heard the lady. Let's show these control creeps why it doesn't pay to mess with family. For a breathless moment, Rascal can only stare, humbled and awed by the sheer depth of devotion shining from every face. The unshakable loyalty that binds them, even in the face of unthinkable odds. Vish, with a fierce bark of command. He leads the charge, out of the shadows and into the harsh light of day, into a world that seeks their destruction at every turn, but a world that has yet to learn the true strength of a family forged in the fires of the streets. The unbreakable ties of love and sacrifice that even the darkest of fates cannot sever. As one, the pack streams out of the alley, a ragtag army united by a single shining purpose: to protect the innocent, to defend their own, to be the light in the darkness. No matter how deep the shadows may grow, the battle is joined. And though the road ahead is dark and fraught with peril, they will walk it as they always have, as they always will. City streets, day, chaos. The scream of tires against pavement, the caterwaul of sirens, the thud of paws and the rasp of labouring lungs. Rascal's pack races through the labyrinthine streets, a desperate flight from the spectre of capture and death snapping at their heels. They dart between the legs of startled pedestrians, streak across bustling intersections by a hair's breadth, leading their pursuers on a wild, careening chase away from the heart of their family, away from the weakest among them, the ones they've sworn to protect at any cost. At the head of the pack, Rascal pours every ounce of speed and cunning into the headlong sprint, ignoring the white-hot agony searing through his mangled paw. Beside him, Lottie matches him step for step, her once luxurious coat now dark with sweat and grime. Behind them, Rusty and the pup strain to keep pace, their eyes white with terror, but their jaws set with fierce determination. They will not fail. They will not falter. Not when the lives of their loved ones hang in the balance. Come on, just a little further. We have to give Buster and Sarge time to get Luna clear.
They'll make it, Rascal. They have to. We all have to.
They're gaining on us. We can't outrun them forever.
I can't keep going. My legs feel like they're going to fall off.
Rascal grits his teeth, his heart clenching at the desperation in the young pup's voice. But he can't let up. Can't let the tireless monsters behind them catch so much as a glimpse of the precious cargo being spirited to safety in the opposite direction. Yes, you can, Scout. You can and you will. We all will. For Luna. For every dog who's ever been discarded like so much trash. Lottie holds his gaze, her own blazing with answering fire. In that moment, an understanding passes between them. A silent vow to lay down their very lives for the innocent souls counting on their strength. With renewed determination, they lower their heads and surge forward, pulling strength from depths they didn't know they possessed. The pups follow suit, Scout falling in behind Rusty as the old junkyard dog takes point. They're fading fast, the control truck looming ever larger in their peripheral vision. But they don't need to outrun their pursuers. They just need to outlast them. Long enough for their packmates to reach the safety of the river. Long enough to ensure that the most vulnerable among them live to see another day. Suddenly, Scout lets out a yelp of pain, his paw catching on a jagged piece of metal hidden amongst the detritus of the alley. He goes down hard, the momentum of his flight sending him tumbling head over tail. Scout, shrieking.
Rascal! Help me!
Rascal skids to a stop, whirling to see the young pup struggling to rise, his foreleg bent at a sickening angle. In the distance, the pound truck shudders to a halt, doors slamming as dark figures pour out to claim their quarry.
We have to go back for him. We can't leave him.
There's no time. They're almost on us.
Rascal stands frozen, torn between two unthinkable choices: abandon Scout to a fate worse than death, or risk the lives of his entire family in a futile attempt to save him. In that moment, suspended between heartbeats, a memory rises unbidden, a small broken body cradled in his paws, glassy eyes staring sightlessly at a smoke-stained sky. Then, his son, his heart, the bright star he failed to protect, the wound that will never fully heal, with a roar that shakes the very foundations of the earth. Rascal charges back towards Scout, towards the advancing control officers, with their nets and poles and merciless hands. He can hear Lottie screaming his name, Rusty howling for him to turn back. But he's deaf to their pleas, to the voice of reason and self-preservation. All he knows is the sight of Scout, small and broken and helpless before the oncoming horde. The pup who trusted him, believed in him, followed him to the very gates of hell. And he will not fail him. Not like he failed Finn. He reaches Scout's side just as the first officer lunges, a wicked catchpole whistling through the air. With a snarl of pure fury, Rascal meets the weapon head on, catching the noose in his teeth and wrenching with every ounce of strength in his body. The metal cord snaps like a strand of cobweb, the officer stumbling back with a cry of shock and pain. Rascal doesn't hesitate, whirling to sink his fangs into the meat of the man's calf, tearing through fabric and flesh like so much tissue paper. Screams, curses, the crackle of a taser being armed. Rascal braces for the inevitable agony, for the world to dissolve into a red haze of pain and defeat. But it never comes. Instead, a tidal wave of fur and fury crashes over him as his pack, his beautiful, brave, unshakable family, descends on the control team like the wrath of God unleashed. Lottie is a demon, all flashing teeth and slashing claws as she bears the closest officer to the ground, her jaws clamping down on his weapon arm with brutal efficiency. Rusty and the pups swarm the others, a whirlwind of snapping jaws and churning legs that sends the men reeling back in disarray. It's chaos, madness, a maelstrom of violence and desperation that seems to suspend time itself. Rascal fights like a creature possessed, all conscious thoughts subsumed by the primal need to protect, to defend, to save. Dimly, through the red haze of battle rage, he registers Scout huddled behind him, the pup's broken leg tucked close to his body as he watches the fray with wide, disbelieving eyes. Get out of here, Scout. Run. We'll hold them off.
But I can't leave you. I won't.
You have to. It's the only way. Please, Pop. Find the others. Tell them to keep going. No matter what. For a breathless moment, Scout hesitates, the love and loyalty rearing with the ingrained instinct to obey his leader. Then, with a whimper that cleaves Rascal's heart in two, he turns and flees, his 3 good legs churning up clouds of dust and debris as he vanishes into the labyrinth of alleys. Rascal watches him go, a curious sense of peace settling over his battered soul. He knows, with a bone-deep certainty, that he has just witnessed the last glimpse of his young charge. The pup he'd sworn to guide, to nurture, to protect. Safe. Alive. A precious legacy of love and hope, speeding towards a future that Rascal will never see. It's enough. It has to be. With a roar that shakes the very stones beneath his paws, he hurls himself back into the fray, rejoining his pack as they make their final stand against the forces of cruelty and indifference. All around him, the grunts and snarls of tooth and claw mingle with distinctly human cries of pain and frustration. The acrid stench of blood and fear clogs the air. The once shining poles and pristine uniforms of their oppressors, now dark with the visceral proof of their resistance. But it's a losing battle, and they all know it. For every blow they land, every inch of ground they gain, the control team redoubles their efforts. Tasers crackle, nets whistle, tranquilizer guns bark their lethal lullabies. One by one, Rascal's pack begins to fall. Rusty takes a dart to the flank and goes down hard, his grizzled muzzle slamming into the concrete with a sickening crack. The pups, disoriented by this chaos and the loss of their leader, mill in terrified circles, easy prey for the nets that scoop them up like wind-blown leaves. And Lottie. Rascal sees her go down as if in slow motion, a high-powered taser probe sinking deep into the meat of her shoulder. She convulses, a scream of agony ripping from her throat as 50,000 volts shred through her nervous system. Lottie! No! A crushing weight descends on his hindquarters, the cold bite of a catchpole noose cinching tight around his throat. He thrashes and writhes, gagging and snapping as he's dragged inexorably backwards, away from his mate, his love, his heart. The last thing he sees before the tranquilizer dart sinks deep into his flank and the world dissolves into a haze of black is Lottie, small and still on the blood-stained pavement, the light in her emerald eyes flickering, fading, as the gloved hands of their captors close around her limp form. Then the darkness takes him, an anesthetic tide sweeping him out into an endless sea of loss and despair. His final thought, before oblivion claims him entirely, is a desperate, broken plea to whatever powers might be listening. A prayer whispered into the void, fragile as a candle flame in a hurricane. Let her live. Please, please let her live. Take me. Take everything I am and ever will be. But let her live? The void does not answer. And Rascal slips beneath the surface of a sleep like death, knowing only that he has failed. Again. Animal control truck, moving. Darkness. Motion. The rumble of an engine and the acrid stench of exhaust fumes. Slowly, painfully, Rascal blinks his way back to wakefulness. Every inch of his battered body screams in protest as he tries to rise, shackles of iron and agony binding him to the filthy metal floor. Panic claws at his throat, the events of the alley flooding back in a tidal wave of horror and grief. He thrashes against his bonds, heedless of the wounds tearing open anew with each desperate struggle. Lottie! Lottie! A low moan answers him from the shadows. He jerks towards the sound, hope and terror warring in his chest. To find his mate, crumpled and bleeding in a rusty cage, mere inches from his own. Her once vibrant coat is matted with grime and gore, her breathing shallow and labored, but her eyes are open, aware, alive, if only just. Lottie, my love, my heart. I thought I'd lost you.
Oh, darling, Don't you know by now? You're never going to lose me. Not even death himself could keep me from your side.
She drags herself closer to the bars separating them, near enough for Rascal to press his muzzle against hers through the cold iron. He drinks in her scent, that precious, indefinable essence that means home and comfort, and the mate of his soul. Now tainted with the copper tang of blood and the sour stench of fear. We're going to get out of this. I don't know how yet, but I swear by every star in the sky, this isn't how our story ends. Muzzling her, breathing her in. We didn't come this far to let those monsters win. We've beaten them before and we'll beat them again. Together. Lottie leans into him, her labored breathing easing as she draws strength from her mate's unshakable conviction. The core of pure, loving stubbornness that first drew her to the scruffy mate a lifetime ago. Before she can muster a response, a low groan echoes through the hold. The grating rattle of a soul in mortal agony. Rascal and Lottie turn as one, peering into the gloom. To see Rusty, sprawled and shuddering on the blood-slicked floor of his own cage. The grizzled junkyard dog is a ruin, his hindquarters a pulped mass of exposed bone and shredded muscle, where the trank dart tore through fur and flesh alike. Oh, Rusty, no. Oh, you brave, foolish old wolf. What have they done to you?
Had to protect the pups. Had to give them a chance. Rascal. The little ones. Are they?
Rascal cranes his neck, peering into the cages crammed against the truck's far wall. Through the murk and the rattle of the road, he can just make out two small forms huddled together, ragged and weeping, but mercifully whole. They're here, Rusty. They're alive. You saved them, you glorious old soldier. Rusty's ravaged face creases into a smile, a serene expression, utterly at odds with the ruin of his broken body. For a moment he seems to glow, suffused with a sense of deep, unshakable purpose.
Then it was worth it. Every mar, every scar, every drop of blood spilled.
Closing his eyes.
Worth it, to know they'll see another dawn.
And so will you, Rusty. You hear me? We're not leaving you behind. Not now, not ever.
But even as the words leave her mouth, a terrible certainty settles in the pit of Rascal's stomach. He knows, with the intuition born of a lifetime walking the knife's edge of survival, that Rusty will not live to see that dawn. That the wounds writ across his battered hide are too deep, too cruel, for even a spirit as indomitable as his to overcome. It's all right, old friend. You fought long and hard. You've given everything. For the pups, for the pack, for the family we've made against all odds. Blinking back the sting of tears. You can rest now, Rusty. Go easy, into that good night. We'll take it from here. Rusty's eyes flutter open, a spark of his old humour glinting in their fading depths.
Not just yet, pup. You're not getting rid of me that easy.
I'll stay until the doors open. Until I know the little ones are safe in your care. I may not be much use in a fight anymore. But I reckon I can muster enough strength to give those control bastards one last surprise. Despite the grief knotting in his chest, Rascal finds himself returning that grin, marvelling at the sheer bloody-minded stubbornness that has carried this junkyard warrior through hell and back. Chapter 6. We'll be counting on it, Rusty. On you. Glancing at Lottie, drawing strength from her blazing eyes. We've got a lot of fight left in us yet. And when the time comes, we'll give 'em hell. For our pack, and for every innocent soul we've sworn to protect.
For every dog who's ever been kicked to the curb, discarded and neglected by a world too blind to see their worth.
For every pup born into a life of suffering, every soft heart and wagging tail broken on the wheel of human cruelty.
We'll fight for them all. With every breath, every beat of our battered hearts.
Until the sun rises on a world that remembers the true meaning of loyalty, of compassion. He falls silent, letting the weight of that vow settle over the ragged band of warriors. They are broken, bloodied, barreling towards a fate crueler than any they've faced.
But they are unbeaten, unbroken in all the ways that matter. Bound by a love and a conviction that transcends the frailty of flesh and bone. And with that love burning bright in their hearts, with the memory of every soul they've touched, every precious life they've changed, etched into their very marrow, they will face the coming storm as they always have, together. The truck rattles on through the gathering dark, bearing its cargo of shattered heroes towards an uncertain future. But even amidst the despair pressing close on all sides, a flicker of hope kindles. Nursed to life by the unshakable knowledge that their story is not over. That the love they bear for each other, for every lost and broken creature left to the mercy of an unfeeling world, is a light that no darkness can extinguish. A flame that will guide them through this, their darkest hour, and out the other side, to a brighter tomorrow, hard-won and precious beyond reckoning. Animal control facility, cold steel, harsh fluorescence, the stench of fear and resignation thick enough to choke on. Rascal stands in the center of the chaos, snarling and snapping as the catchpole's cruel bite sinks deeper into his throat. All around him, similar horrors play out in a cacophonous din. The screech of metal cages, the baying of panicked animals, the cold bark of orders from the white-coated humans swarming the corridors. Through it all, his eyes never leave Lottie, huddled and shaking in the cage across from his, her once proud head hanging low with pain and exhaustion. The pups cower behind her, muzzles tucked beneath shaking paws, as they try to block out the nightmare unfolding around them. And Rusty. Hang on. We're almost through this. Just hold on. A little longer. But it's too late. He knows it even before he hears Lottie's wrenching sob, sees the light fade from those roamy old eyes as the grizzled junkyard dog slips quietly away amidst the bedlam. A good soldier, standing his post to the very end, a guardian to his pack, even as the life bled out of his broken body. Rascal feels something shatter inside him, a grief too profound for tears or keening wails. In that moment, staring at the empty husk that was once his friend, his brother, he feels the weight of every loss pressing down on his shoulders. Every bright spirit snuffed out too soon by the casual cruelty of a world that sees them as nothing more than trash to be swept aside. But beneath that grief, that howling anguish, a spark of fury kindles. Of righteous, implacable rage at the injustice of it all, the sheer, screaming wrongness of a system that grinds up soft hearts and wagging tails as though they were so much offal. And it hardens in his gut, that spark. Crystallizes into a cold, diamond-sharp point of purpose that lances through the haze of pain and despair like a blazing star. They took Rusty. They took Finn. They've taken countless other precious souls, mauled them and broken them and discarded them like so much refuse. But they will not take one more. Not while there is breath in his body and fire in his blood. He meets Lottie's eyes across the divide, sees the same righteous wrath kindling in those emerald depths. An understanding passes between them, a silent vow sealed in the language of the heart. This ends now. The senseless killing, the destruction of innocence, it ends here, in this cold place of death and suffering. Or they will die in the attempting. For there are worse fates than death. They've seen it, lived it, in the haunted eyes and trembling flanks of every abandoned soul left to the mercies of a merciless world.
Bay 6 prepped for 10:15. Let's get these mutts processed so we can break for lunch.
The moment shatters, reality crashing back in like a frigid tide. Rascal renews his struggles, fangs bared and eyes blazing as he readies for the fight of his life. Across the way, Otti rises to her feet, placing herself squarely between the approaching workers and the cowering pups. They will not go quietly into that dark night. They will rage and fight and spit defiance with their last breath. But even as they brace for battle, a strident voice cuts through the din, sharp and commanding, with an undercurrent of steel.
Stop! Stop this madness at once!
Rascal whips his head around, hardly daring to believe his ears. That voice, it couldn't be, but it is. Striding down the corridor like an avenging angel, white coat flapping and eyes flashing behind wire-rimmed glasses, is the old man. The one who used to feed them scraps behind the pizza parlor, who always had a kind word and a gentle touch for even the mangy stray. Rascal never knew his name, never thought to ask. But he remembers the warmth of that weathered hand stroking his ears, the rough, sing-song murmur that soothed even the most skittish feral's fear. He remembers thinking, in some deep, wordless place, that this human was different, that the love and sorrow shining from those watery blue eyes was a rare light in the darkness, a beacon of hope for the lost and discarded. And now, seeing him here, in this cold place of death and despair, facing down the blank-eyed foot soldiers of cruelty with nothing but the force of his compassion, Rascal feels that flicker of hope burst into radiant bloom, because he knows, with a bone-deep certainty, that the old man is here for them, that he will fight for them as fiercely and tirelessly as any alpha defending his pack. The workers fall back before his advance, cowed by the sheer force of his presence. One of them, a hard-faced woman with a pinched mouth, steps forward, brandishing her clipboard like a weapon. And just who the hell are you? This is a restricted area. Civilians aren't allowed.
My name is Dr. Mikhail Lebedev. I am a veterinarian and an animal rights advocate, and I am here to put an end to the travesty taking place within these walls.
A saturation of shock ripples through the assembled workers. They exchange uneasy glances, clearly wrong-footed by this unexpected challenge to their grim business.
I have evidence of the rampant abuse and neglect occurring at this facility. Photographs, video footage, sworn affidavits from former employees.
Locking eyes with the hard-faced woman. More than enough to bring the full weight of the law crashing down on your heads. The media, the public, They will all know the truth of what happens here. The woman blanches, her clipboard trembling in a white-knuckled grip. She licks her lips, eyes darting like a cornered rat.
You can't do this. We're an essential service. We're doing important work.
What you are doing is perpetuating a system of cruelty and indifference that has gone unchecked for far too long. A system that sees living, feeling creatures as nothing more than disposable commodities.
Raising his voice, addressing the room at large. But that ends today. Here and now, by the authority vested in me as an officer of the Bucharest Animal Welfare Society, I am shutting this abattoir down. Permanently. A beat of stunned silence. Then, pandemonium. Workers shouting. Alarms blaring. A rising tide of chaos and confusion. Through it all, Dr. Lebedev stands firm, a bulwark of calm resolve amidst the storm. His keen gaze sweeps the room, taking in each cage, each mangy, trembling form with a compassion that sears Rascal to his battered core. When those eyes find his own, Rascal feels something break loose inside his chest. A swelling rush of emotion, too vast and complex to name. The tangled knot of rage and grief and helpless fury giving way to a single, crystalline realization. They are not alone. They have never been alone. In this cold, cruel world that sees them as nothing. There are still those who will fight for them, who will risk everything to defend the defenseless, and to be a voice for the voiceless. And chief among them, blazing with the light of a love that knows no bounds, is this humble, extraordinary man, this unassuming hero who carries the weight of the world's forgotten creatures on his shoulders.
Let them out, every last one of them. Do you hear me? There will be no more cages, no more suffering, not on my watch.
As if in a dream, Rascal watches the workers scramble to obey, fumbling with locks and latches, flinging open the cages that have been their iron prisons. All around him, dogs stumble out into the light, blinking and whimpering, hardly daring to believe the sudden reprieve. And then Lottie is there, pressing against his side, her warm bulk shoring up his faltering strength as the pups caper around their paws, giddy with relief and exhausted elation. They're free. Impossibly. Miraculously. They're free. Kneeling before them, hands gentle as they stroke matted fur.
It's all right now. You're safe. I promise you. No one will ever hurt you again.
His voice cracks on the words, tears spilling down lined cheeks as he gathers the ragged pack close, heedless of the filth and the blood, the years of hardship etched into every bony frame. In that moment, as he feels the warm weight of Lottie ew against his flank and the soft sobs of the pups muffled in his fur, Rascal understands the old man isn't just saving them, he's saving himself, keeping a sacred, unspoken promise to fight for the weak, the helpless, the forgotten. To be the one good thing in a world filled with cruelty and cold indifference. A bulwark standing strong against the rising tide of apathy, a beacon of hope for the hopeless. Just as Rascal and his pack have tried to be, in their own small, vastly outmatched way, roughly, framing Rascal's face in gentle hands.
You've been so brave, my friend. So strong for so many, but it's time to rest now. To let someone else carry the weight for a while.
And oh, how Rascal wants to. He feels it in his bones, the yearning to lay down his burden. to let this kind, compassionate human shoulder the load that has been his constant companion for so long. But even as he leans into that soothing touch, even as he lets himself imagine, just for a moment, a life unburdened by the relentless, crushing need to protect and defend, he knows, deep in the mirror of him, in the iron core that has seen him through hell and back more times than he can count. He knows that this is not the end, that the fight is far from over. For him, for his pack, for every lost and discarded soul still wandering the hard streets. Because there will always be another Rusty, another Finn, another trembling stray huddled in the dark, waiting for a gentle hand and a kind word to guide them home. And as long as there are still shadows to be fought, still battles to be won, Rascal will be there, standing strong, standing firm against the darkness for all those who cannot stand alone. But for now, just for this moment, in the circle of the old man's arms, with his family pressed close on all sides, he lets himself rest, lets himself lean on the strength of another, just long enough to catch his breath, to feel the love and compassion pouring off this remarkable human in waves, soothing the raw, jagged edges of his battered soul. It's a brief respite, a single shining instant of peace amidst the endless war. But it's enough. Enough to remind him what he's fighting for, every minute of every day. Enough to shore up his flagging spirit. Dr. Lebedev's arms tightening around them all.
Come, my friends, let's go home.
And so, on legs shaky with exhaustion, but heads held high, they do, out of the shadows and into the light, towards a future uncertain and perilous as ever. The sun is setting as they step out into the street, painting the smoggy city sky in brilliant streaks of orange and gold. Rascal lifts his muzzle to the fading light, breathing deep of the fetid air, so rank and familiar. The scent of 1,000 struggles, 1,000,000 untold stories etched into every fractured cobblestone. But beneath the hardship, beneath the grime and decay, he catches a newer note, a hint of green, of growing things straining towards a distant dawn. The scent of hope, of possibility, slim and tenacious as a dandelion breaking through a pavement crack. It fills his lungs, his heart, his entire being. A fragile reminder that even the darkest night must eventually give way to morning. And as he falls into step beside Lottie, feeling the warm weight of the pups pressed against his flanks and the solid, steadying presence of Dr. Lebedev at his back, he knows, with the surety of the rising sun, the turning of the seasons, the eternal renewal of a world forever cycling towards spring. He knows that the wheel is turning. That change is coming, slow and stubborn. A green shoot fighting its way to an uncertain future, but coming all the same. Unstoppable as the tides, inexorable as the spinning of the planet, and he will be there to greet it, to nurture it, to help it grow, with his pack by his side and the love of all the forgotten creatures of the earth burning bright in his battered, unbreakable heart. It's who he is, who they are. A light in the darkness, a bulwark standing strong against the cruelty of an uncaring world. The stars are coming out as they turn the corner, as they limp and stumble towards the promise of a meal, a bed, a moment's rest. And high above, winking down from the vast, eternal sprawl of the heavens, a single point of light blazes, bright and fierce and constant, a shard of purest joy piercing the gathering dark. Finn's star, burning for all those who wander, lost and afraid. And as Rascal raises his weary head to the glimmering sky, he smiles. Through the pain and the grief, the loss and the longing, they walk on. Bucharest streets, dawn. Morning breaks soft and gentle over the slumbering city. The rising sun a smudge of pale gold limning crumbling brick and weathered cement. The first rays creep across dew-touched pavement, caressing the sleeping forms huddled together in the mouth of a sheltered alleyway. Rascal stirs, blinking sleep-crusted eyes, as wakefulness seeps slowly into his aching bones. For a long, bleary moment, he lies motionless, relishing the solid weight of Lottie pressed against his flank, the soft, snuffling breaths of the pups tickling his ears. His family, his heart, the reason he had endured every trial, every torment, the shining lodestar guiding him onwards through the darkest of nights. He could happily drink in the quiet joy of their presence for hours, content simply to exist within the circle of their love. But as the golden light inches across dirt-smudged fur and knobby limbs, memory comes flooding back, a bitter tide jolting him to full, painful alertness. Rusty, Dr. Lebedev, their daring escape from the jaws of oblivion, the promise of sanctuary glimmering on a distant horizon. He heaves himself to his paws, ignoring the dull throb of bruises and the sharper sting of half-healed wounds. There will be time to lick his hurts later, time to grieve and regroup, to plan their next steps in this brave new world they've stumbled into. But first, he needs to be sure, to see with his own eyes that this hasn't all been some fever dream, a desperate animal's dying hallucination of salvation. He pads to the mouth of the alley on silent paws, hardly daring to breathe as he peers out into the street. And there, idling by the curb, with a plume of exhaust curling gently into the morning air, is a battered old van, dull black and deeply scuffed, with a faded red cross emblazoned on its flank, the universal symbol of aid and succor. Rascal's heart kicks into overdrive, a wild hope clawing its way up his tight throat. He scans the sidewalk frantically, searching for the one face that can make this miracle real. And finds it. Weathered and careworn, with a scruff of grey hair haloing a high scholarly brow. Eyes the colour of a winter sky twinkling behind half-moon glasses, crinkled at the corners with a lifetime of laughter and empathy. Dr. Lebedev. Standing by the van's sliding door, with a steaming mug in hand, watching the sunrise paint his shabby corner of the world in shades of gold and rose. He's real, solid and breathing and undeniably, gloriously there. Not a phantom or a wishful fancy, but a living, beating heart dedicated to tipping the scales of mercy. Rascal must make some sound, some choked off whine of disbelief and riotous, explosive joy. Because the old man turns, his gaze falling on the trembling Mutt, hovering at the edge of the shadows. And his face breaks open in a smile bright as the dawn, a smile of recognition, of shared triumph against impossible odds.
Good morning, my friend. I trust you slept well.
And just like that, the final piece of the puzzle clicks into place. The last lingering wisp of doubt and fear dissolves like mist beneath the rising sun, burned away by the sheer dazzling certainty of this man's compassion. They're safe. Truly, deeply, soul-rendingly safe. Watched over by a guardian who will fight for them with every breath in his body, every ounce of strength in his humble human's heart. Rascal doesn't realize he's moving until he's already halfway across the pavement. Until he's flinging himself into the shelter of the old man's arms, burying his muzzle in the oddly familiar scent of antiseptic and kibble, cotton and sour city air and warm, living skin. He feels the sting of happy tears matting his fur, the rumble of a laugh pressed into the curve of his skull. Feels the solid weight of Dr. Lebedev surrounding him, blocking out the world and all its casual cruelties as he holds the battle-scarred stray close, heedless of the stink and the filth and the years of hardship ground into every hollowed rib and jutting bone.
It's all right now, my brave one. It's all right. I have you, all of you. And I swear by all that's holy, I will never let you go.
It's a vow, an oath of allegiance that sears straight to Rascal's battered core, branding itself into his skin, his heart, his very marrow with its sheer, unstoppable force. He has known love before, has felt the scorching heat of it, the way it can burn away everything else until only ash and bone remain. But this is something different, something vast and pure, inviolable as the turning of the seasons, an unshakable commitment to their broken, beautiful souls, the end. Copyright eSigns 2024. All rights reserved.